Not very much. Okay. After more than 2 hours, I believe. So, hello. Go ahead. Okay.
Hare Krishna. We will start today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yeshodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yeshodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yeshodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jaya Sudarshana, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Subhadra, Jaya Sudarshana, Jaya Gaurangi, Bengalurishwara Gaurangi, Bengalurishwara Gaurangi, Jaya Gaurangi, Bengalurishwara Gaurangi, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Prahlad Narasimha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय द्वारका धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय गौर भक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye
Jayamudiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Hari Om Tat Sat. So today we are going to see a wonderful verse. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 12th chapter, 22nd verse. This is about Dhruva Maharaj, and the title of this chapter is Dhruva Maharaj Goes Back to Godhead. So let's see this verse. I'm sharing the screen. I'll read it. Tam Krishna Padabhinivishta Chetasam Bhaddhanjalim Parasya Namra Kandaram Sunandananda Upashrutya Samshitam Pratyuchutuhu Pushkara Sammatho. Word to word translation. Tam, him, Krishna, of Lord Krishna, Pada, of the lotus feet, Abhinivishta, absorbed in thought, Chetasam, whose heart, Baddha Anjalim, with folded hands, Prashraya, very humbly, Namra, bowed, Kaddaram, whose neck, Sunanda, Nandav, and Nanda, Upashrutya, approaching, Sa Smitam, smilingly, Pratyuchutuhu, addressed, Pushkara Nabha, O Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus navel, Sammatau, confidential servants. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Dhruva Maharaja was always absorbed in thinking of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. His heart was full with Krishna. When the two confidential servants of the Supreme Lord, who were named Nanda and Sunanda, approached him, smiling happily, Dhruva stood with folded hands, bowing humbly. They then addressed him as follows. Purport. In this verse, the word Pushkaranabha Sammatau is significant. Krishna or Lord Vishnu is known for his lotus eyes, lotus navel, lotus feet, and lotus palms. Here he is called Pushkaranabha, which means the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has a lotus navel. And sammatau means too confidential or very obedient servants. The materialistic way of life differs from the spiritual way of life in that one is disobedience and the other is obedience to the will of the Supreme Lord. All living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and they are supposed to be always agreeable to the order of the Supreme Person, that is perfect oneness. In the Vaikuntha world, all the living entities are in oneness with the Supreme Godhead because they never defy His orders. Here in this material world, however, they are not sammata, agreeable, but always asammata, disagreeable. This human form of life is a chance to be trained to be agreeable to the orders of the Supreme Lord. To bring about this training in society is the mission of the Krishna consciousness movement. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the laws of material nature are very strict. No one can overcome the stringent laws of material nature, but one who becomes a surrendered soul and agrees to the order of the Supreme Lord can easily overcome those stringent laws. The example of Dhruva Maharaj is very fitting. Simply by becoming agreeable to the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by developing love of Godhead, Dhruva got the chance to personally meet the confidential servants of Lord Vishnu face to face. What was possible for Dhruva Maharaja is possible for everyone. And anyone who very seriously engages in devotional service can obtain in due course of time the same perfection of the human form of life. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुत पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादा सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. So we saw this wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada. The verse, as I said, is in this chapter, which is entitled Dhruva Maharaj Goes Back to Godhead. So in this chapter, a high-level summary quickly to get a complete background. So Dhruva Maharaj, so this whole thing is discussed between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. Mahatma Vidura. So Maitreya Muni is narrating the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj to Mahatma Vidura, and in that narration, this particular verses are coming. And here we saw that Dhruva Maharaj, angered by the killing of his brother by the Yakshas, he takes revenge and he keeps killing them, in his anger to avenge his brother's death. But somehow, in course of time, then he, I think he's counseled. He is counseled to, let go, right? That's what Prabhupada writes, that, in the beginning to the introduction, uh, he sort of, his anger got subsided, and then he actually has a meeting with Kuvera. Kuvera is the king of the Yakshas, and he comes there being pleased with the Dhruva Maharaj's a mood of letting go of this anger, and then there's a kind of a discussion which happens between, not a discussion in a way, it is more of a Kuvera's sort of instructions, or uh, yeah, I can say that it's an instructions by Kuvera to uh, Dhruva Maharaj, where he glorifies the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where he says, while you thought the Yakshas had killed your brother, and the Yakshas are thinking you killed them, it is actually not none of your actions. It is the action of the Supreme Lord in his manifestation as time. So it is that one should not consider the acts of others to us in an inimical way. Sometimes it is negative, and we look at it inimical. We should look at it that he is simply an instrument, and that I deserve to get this, and therefore I got it. That kind of a mindset a devotee should develop, not be immediately take offense to that instrument which caused that karma to come to us. That way it is being the devotees are actually to think like that. That is what the scriptures say. And he says, and therefore you are not the person who did it. And he even talks about, like, devotees of the Lord should be mindful that the concept of oneness, as in the Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and everything is pervaded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in that sense that everything is actually one, and everything should cooperate with each other, so that that spirit of oneness can really be understood and practiced. That he gives a kind of a thing. And then, being pleased with Dhruva Maharaj, he asks him, please ask for a benediction. I will give you the benediction. So Dhruva Maharaj, and whom is he meeting with? Kuvera, right? So normally, if someone is asked, okay, you have an audience with Kuvera, and ask him what do whatever you want. Normally, the mind immediately goes, oh, because Kuvera, all of us know, is in charge of the treasury, literally the most richest man in one sense, and he is also in charge of the treasury. Therefore, people would immediately prefer to ask, "Oh, give me wealth, give me, uh, all the riches in the world." I mean, not all the riches, but a lot of riches in the world. Even though we want to have all the riches, that we will discuss, on this purport. So we want to have all the riches, we want to have all the fame, all the name, all the beauty, all the power. We want to be like that. But then at least we will ask for a lot of wealth. But here, Dhruva Maharaj, very matured, in his devotion, he says, please give me the benediction that I do not forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the boon Dhruva Maharaj asks Kuvera, that he bless him, that he remembers the Lord always. So Kuvera became very pleased, even more pleased with him, and he says, Tatastu, I give you that benediction that you will always remember Krishna, like that. Uh, the exact thing is, beg that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For thus a person can cross over the ocean of nations very easily, although it is very difficult for others to cross. So that is the most important thing. So he's asking remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that he's asking, because it's very difficult, right? We sometimes take up a devotional service, we see some difficulties happening, we see some incompatibilities, with the temple, with people around, devotees around us, and then we think, this is something which I'm not very keen to follow. And slowly our faith in the whole process and ultimately in the Supreme Personality of Godhead goes away. Something terrible happens, or there is some misfortune that we face in our life, some health issues, some relatives passing away, some loss of money. You can name it because this place is Ashashvatam Dukkalayam. There is always Padam Padam Vipadam. Yat Padam Vidam Padam Padam Vipadam. It is there. That means in every step there is danger. And therefore we are always faced with some calamity or the other. And there is therefore every incentive for us to leave our faith and go to our old ways. Like, anyways, nothing is going to change. Even if we leave, it is not that we are going to become happy. But then, in fact, we are going to even become even more miserable. But somehow our mind says, oh, this, why to take up this Krishna consciousness at all? Let us be like that. If it is going to make our life better, then at least from some logically it makes sense to leave it. But it's going to push us even more into more difficulties. But then the mind is thinking like there's always a rebellious mind, right? We do not want to surrender to a process, surrender to a person, surrender to the Supreme Lord. So that rebellious mind says, oh, what is the use of doing all these things? Let us leave it and enjoy life. This propensity to enjoy. We will see that more deeply in today's verse. So that becomes the criteria. But then he's very mindful of that. He's aware, Dhruva Maharaj, that, I could fall anytime if I'm not careful. So he's asking for this particular boon, that I should always have unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I should always remember him. The aim is to actually cross over this material world. After that, he goes back to his spiritual, to his kingdom. And if you remember the original meeting of Dhruva Maharaj with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, there he was said, you had this desire for enjoying, this kingdom, and therefore I will give you that benefit that you enjoy the kingdom nicely. I will create a planet for you which is even beyond, the Brahmaloka, like that. It's a very special planet. And in that planet, you can really enjoy, the opulences. And at the end of that life, you can come back to me. This is the kind of boon that Lord Vishnu gave him. Therefore, after that, he actually rules over that Dhruva planet for 36,000 years. And of course, enjoyment, Prabhupada defines enjoyment means not simply sense gratification. Enjoying means enjoying Krishna consciousness. So he did all austerities, he did all yajnas to please the Yajnapati or Vishnu. So he did wonderful devotional service every day. He really took care of the devotees. He was very nice administrator. He took association of the seniors, and then he gave association to the juniors. And he was protecting all the citizens. And in one sense, it is also mentioned he is like the father. He was actually a father for the entire universe, because he was protecting all the citizens so nicely and very respectful to all the seniors, all the wonderful devotees that came to his palace, to his kingdom effectively, and did wonderful example. He was a perfect example. And it is mentioned he did like three kinds of activities. Worldly activities, which is namely religiosity, economic development, and satisfaction of the material desires. Finally, after this 36,000 years, he handed over the charge of his royal throne to his son and said, now I am going to focus completely on devotional life. Like, no more administration, no more anything else. I will completely focus on devotional life. So he goes to a place called Badrikashrama, and there he performs his tapasya. And particularly, in those days, the focus of how to leave the body is, this, you sit in that Padmasana, and then you fix the breathing process, and then, you purify the air and bring the, whatever, the all the, you bring the life air from, keep bringing it up and then taking it to the head and then leave the body from the head, like that. So he was in that kind of controlled breathing process and the air of life, and then the senses were completely controlled. Then he concentrated his mind on the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, the meditation. which is the exact replica of the Lord. And he, in that process, he completely entered into a trance. And because of that, transcendental bliss, the symptoms of one who is actually in that state is described, where his hairs will stand and end, and the eyes will be watering incessantly, and his heart will melt, and the shivering will start in the body. All these were symptoms of one who's in that spiritual ecstasy. And when that situation was achieved, then there were a big airplane, which was like so bright, like it's like as though the moon is coming down to the earth. Such a very brilliant and bright object, a plane which came down, and it's mentioned it illuminated all the 10 directions. And then from that plane descended two amazing looking personalities who were darkish blue, who were very tall and very handsome, and they were having club in their hand, and they were having four hands. They looked almost like Lord Vishnu, and they came there, and they were smiling, and they come, and then Dhruva Maharaj pays obeisances to them. And in that situation is this particular verse that we are looking at, where I will just read the verse again. Dhruva Maharaj was always absorbed in thinking of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. His heart was full with Krishna when the two confidential servants of the Supreme Lord, who were named Nanda and Sunanda, approached him, smiling happily. Dhruva stood with folded hands, bowing humbly. Then he addressed him as follows. They then addressed him as follows. So this is the verse. So now this is the point where they are about to, they are meeting. The two personalities who came, they are named Nanda and Sunanda. I think there is also, this is very, the names sound a bell in the, the four Kumaras. They also had, I think, similar names. So so this is the point where they come from their airplane, and then they are about to meet and discuss something, talk, whatever. But at this point in time, for this, Prabhupada has given a wonderful purport. Let us discuss that to the extent possible with my limited understanding. Prabhupada is talking about this main word in that last line of this verse. The two words were used, Pushkara Naba Sammatau. So, and Prabhupada is talking about this, the Lord is generally in many places is described to be one who's having lotus eyes, lotus hands, like this. So here that the lotus navel is being talked about, that the Lord is addressed as lotus naveled person, from whom, of course, the entire creation, from that navel came that lotus flower. Of course, from that lotus navel came the lotus flower from which Lord Brahma came. And incidentally, Dhruva Maharaj is a descendant, is a grandson of Brahma, that way. So that is there. So that lotus navel is mentioned. And Sammatau is the most important thing which Prabhupada is actually designs. And he's talking about, how obedience is required if someone has to be going back to Godhead, and more importantly, being a part of the, not more importantly, the preliminary stage of it is being understanding our position as part of the total whole, and trying to cooperate with the uh, with the direction, with the instructions, with the flow of that supreme being. That is the uh, main thing, and that can happen. It's not disconnected. That means even in material life, one needs to be in that mood, and then how that translates into that developing that quality in a spiritual perspective, and thereby relating to that oneness, and then are able to go back to Godhead. That is all being discussed here very nicely. So let us try to see a little bit more on this one. So Prabhupada is saying that in the Vaikuntha Loka, which is our, like, I mean, ours is Goloka Vrindavan Loka, but in general, right, when you talk about the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka is the people generally say we have to go to Vaikuntha Loka, which is the spiritual world, I mean, or rather the place where Lord Vishnu resides. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very merciful that he wanted his devotees to go even further, basically go back to the Goloka Vrindavan, where the same Vishnu, there is no doubt. Vishnu is also an extension, is none other than Krishna himself, but the mood is different. So Krishna is one with whom one can have the complete plethora of emotions, relations. But Lord Vishnu, one cannot have that level of intricate relation or intimate relationship other than some particular moods. Like, for example, we can be in the mood of servanthood there, and of course even Lakshmi in that bhava is there, but she is also more like a servant mood. She's there actually. So it's very limited relationships beyond a point. Of course, Lord Vishnu also has those flavors, like Lord Rama exhibited friendship. Lord Rama exhibited the Vatsalya. There was also his mother. But then the Vatsalya of Krishna and Vatsalya of Rama, a little bit of a difference there. Even though that flavor was certainly there. But then there are, Rama even had like this Dasya Ras. Many of them were there, but it's not the the full scope was not there. For example, Mother Sita only could act as this, intimate relation as the, lover. But, Krishna actually gave all the scope for all relationship and unlimitedly. That is, I mean, the same Rama, but Krishna expanded as Lord Rama, but there he decided to follow certain rules, just his own restriction, not that he cannot do. But as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, he does not have any limitations. He is just completely, what do you call, as he is. And no bars, there is no restrictions, nothing. He just flows like the unlimitedness that he is. And therefore, our acharyas, particularly starting from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mood is we go back to that place, Goloka Vrindavan, where we can experience that unlimited relationship with that Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in this context here, it is talking about Vaikuntha Loka, going back to Vaikuntha Loka for Dhruva Maharaj. So there, Prabhupada is talking about this thing, where this, in that place of Vaikuntha, there is all the living beings there are completely agreeable, aligned, completely aligned. They are not one. That means not everything is merged. When people say, oh, there is oneness in that, that doesn't mean people go and merge into that Lord. Oneness is that we all completely align. We are separate individual souls, but our thoughts are completely aligned to that one person. So that it's like, even in material life we say, right? So when two people are getting along so very well, people will literally say they are one. That doesn't mean they have merged into each other. It is more that they are very much aligned in their thought process. So it's easy that the whole relationship is so great because that alignment is so nice. So the expectation for the living entity to go to Vaikuntha or whichever Narasimha Loka or to Ayodhya of the spiritual world, or ultimately to the what do you call to our Goloka Vrindavan, the mood is complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as in completely aligned to the instructions, to the desire. And here the word is obedience, sammatau, obedience to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada is talking about how in this material world we are actually highly disobedient. And it starts from the fact that we decided to rebel against Krishna in the material, spiritual world. That disobedience, that is the starting point, which led us to come to this material world. That means I wanted to defy Krishna, as I was earlier saying, that Krishna is full of all six opulences, all beauty, all fame, all renunciation, uh, all wealth, all power. So our thing is, oh, how come Krishna can be like that? I want to be all beautiful. I want to be all powerful. I want to be all rich. I want to be all fame. That mode of rebellion, that why Krishna, I should be. And this is the seed in the spiritual world which made us to say, okay, if that is what you are thinking, which you are not, which is called Maya, that means that which is not, which we are not, but I am desiring to be that. Because constitutionally that cannot be, because I cannot be that. Because it's like, when a son cannot say, I am the father, he is still a son. He may be whatever he may be, but he is still a son. That is standard. You cannot change that definition that now I am father, you are son. No, that is not possible. You can take that bhava, but you cannot be like that. Like Prabhupada, when he was towards the end of his life, he allowed his disciples to be like his father. Like, he will say, okay, you decide for me. You tell me what I should do. I will follow what you are saying. Those kind of mood, that is more to train them. But then you cannot become Prabhupada, right? We cannot become Prabhupada. Prabhupada maybe have been very this one, that we can see, say, any seniors, that they show that, that they are very, what do you call, merciful. They say, okay, you decide, you do. Many times they say that, but that doesn't mean we immediately take that, okay, now this is standard instruction 24/7, and now I will only be dominating the thing. No, that is their mood to allow us to be the center stage, whatever. But then we should always be mindful they are the superior, they are like that. So Krishna, one should come to that mood when it comes to Krishna, that we are always surrendered. But then because we are envious of Krishna, we are disobedient to him. Krishna said, this is not the reality. That means you are not the father, I am the father. You are son, and you have to, this is natural, not that I am forcing you to be like that. This is that state, that is the original state. Water is water, it has to flow. That is, it can be made into ice by putting it inside the fridge or whatever. But that is artificial. But nature of water is to flow. The similar thing is nature of a jiva is that, anu. And you cannot think, I want to be Vibhu. Vibhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are a small, minute particle of that power of that Supreme Lord. And therefore, our nature is to simply serve that Supreme Lord. In that is the oneness. That means I am aligned to that Supreme. I am aligned to that bigger power, that be. And in that process, I am part and parcel of that Supreme. So that is the mode. And but unfortunately, since we developed negative feelings from that kind of mode, we are sent to this material world. And in this material world, we try to lord it over nature. That we think I am the most important. Everybody else has to follow my thing. So everybody has to be obedient to me, but I will not be obedient to anybody. So this mode. So So Prabhupada is writing, this human form of life is a chance to be trained to be agreeable to the orders of the Supreme Lord. To bring about this training in society is the mission of Krishna consciousness movement. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the laws of material nature are very strict. No one can overcome the stringent laws of material nature. But one who becomes a surrendered soul and agrees to the order of the Supreme Lord can easily overcome those stringent laws. So this mission of Prabhupada of bringing this Krishna consciousness movement, the ISKCON family, ISKCON organization, is to establish this principle. These 2-3 lines which I read out right now is to bring us to this platform of able to surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the objective is to basically make us understand our original state, to understand our true consciousness, not false consciousness, and practice in that mode, so that we become perfect. And the benefit is that we can actually go back to Godhead, go back to that the spiritual world, where we can be in our permanent state, permanent constitutional position ever after. So it's like this. Then they lived happily ever after, like in movies they show like that. So this one drama of our life has to come to that logical conclusion that we lived happily ever after, which means we did not have to change bodies, and we don't have to fall sick, and we don't have to be remorse, we don't have to have any dukkha or this the emotion of suffering. All these things are not there. You are always going to be in Sachidananda platform. But this is the uh, fundamental reason why Prabhupada started this movement. Prabhupada himself is writing here. This is the purpose of Krishna consciousness, to train people uh, in towards this direction of making them surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if I have to look at an example, who else today than His Holiness uh, Gopalakrishna Goswami Maharaj? Today his Vyasa Puja, and his life is actually something which talks about uh, this particular word that we are discussing, Sammatau. That means obedient servant. He was a perfect example of a obedient servant to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as in actually obedient to the orders of his spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I mean, I mm, whatever I have seen of Maharaj, whatever I have read of Maharaj, he was a very aristocratic person in his own capacity as a, uh, as a person. And at a, we are talking about the 1960s or early 70s, where he was already, in India. You can imagine that India was not so opulent or whatever, so much this one at that time. But he, at that time only, was a highly learned personality. He was studying in the US, and he was actually a very high executive in a multinational company. We talk about getting a job in a multinational company today, but he was having that even in those days. Just imagine, and everybody's dream at that point in time was to go to America and make it big materially, right? But here he is already there, already big in whatever way, to be in the corporate world, be the head of a big institution, and whatever, a dream. Many people think this is a dream life kind of a thing. So he had that opportunity there. But he came across Srila Prabhupada, he met him there, and he very quickly came to this understanding that, this life has to be dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he decided to surrender and show his obedience to Srila Prabhupada. So that is a starting point, where he gave up all of that. It is not an easy thing to give up a small thing. A small possession of us is very difficult. But he had all these opportunities. Everything was in his hand. It's one thing to say, oh, I wanted to become, I am actually sacrificing my dream to become something. He has already become. He had everything in his hands, palms, but he just rejected that, and he surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. And not just there, okay, now that I am surrendered, like many of us, okay, we take initiation, and then, okay, so yes, now I am initiated, I will do my things slowly and I will keep progressing now. Here, his mood is, I have now surrendered and I will do whatever it takes to fulfill the mission of my spiritual master. So that was his mood, and he worked very hard to take forward this movement which Srila Prabhupada started. and he was a GBC, governing body commissioner, and he particularly in North India, Delhi, and in those areas, there are so many temples that Maharaj has been the foundation. He actually built it. So many temples. I don't know. It's more than, I don't know, more than 15. I think more than 20 possibly. I'm sorry for my lack of knowledge on that. But then he, to my mind, is much more. So many temples where he started, and he brought in all the, the method in which Prabhupada wanted everything to be done, and he created so many devotees all across the world, not just in Delhi and other places, but all over the world, and his commitment to furthering Srila Prabhupada's movement, every moment he was thinking only how to serve Prabhupada, how to serve Prabhupada, how to further this mission. And he was training the entire community, not just his disciple, all the community, the ISKCON community, how to take that mode and living example, how he cultivated so many great personalities. So great when I say all the so many powerful personalities, because this is a movement which is in the society at large, and we need to be mindful of uh, developing the leaders of the society favorably in a way that they are favorable to the movement and how they can contribute to this movement. So he was one who tried to develop these bridges between the so-called aristocratic members of the society, including all the bureaucracy, the political, the environment, all the politicians, the leaders, the chief ministers, the prime ministers. We all saw how, even when we had that big Bhagavad Gita, I think it's a Guinness record that Bhagavad Gita was installed. That was actually, I think, going all over the world, and it came to Delhi also, and how that it was telecast on national television. How the current Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he came and he inaugurated that in India. And how Maharaj, and the kind of respect all these great personalities, like in this case Narendra Modi, how respectfully he was holding Maharaj's hand. Maharaj was so old, and so he was holding his hand and he was walking him like that. And the kind of influence he had on the entire political ecosystem. It's not about any particular party or anything. No, that ambassador, that representative of God, and that people were able to understand that he is a representative of God, and then irrespective of the class of party, whatever it is, they were able to relate to him like that, and that he used in Krishna's service, that he helped to the Delhi temple or all the temples. It's not, in today's world, it's not easy to build a temple. So many administrative requirements, so many permissions, so many things. It's just mind-boggling if you have to think of an organization, running an organization in a complicated environment. But he, in spite of his old age, he was able to accomplish all of these things so very nicely. In the process, he was cultivating everyone to take up Krishna consciousness. So it doesn't matter whether you are the prime minister or you are his meeting. In fact, I also had an opportunity to meet him once in an airport, and he was not thinking, okay, who's this guy? I don't he has so many thousands of disciples, so has the connects with the highest of personalities all over the world. But how come that some small so-called devotee, he was giving full attention to me. I just went and met him. There was nobody there. Literally two of the servants were there in the airport, and it's not like India has become so this thing that there everywhere we are flooded with devotees. So inside the airport there was nobody. Most people won't have even recognized him in that sense, because we have a lot of work to do to make devotees. So, and I could just walk to him and talk to him, and he was very merciful. He held me, in the sense, he patted me, he just sort of thing, he patted me in the back, talked to me, asking where I am from, what I am doing, and he recalled this one with Bangalore and the authorities here. Oh, so nice, very personal, very intimate. That kind of a personality that is there. His mood is in that second, I want to make this Jiva Krishna conscious. That is the mood of all Prabhupada's disciples, and he showed that. And there are so many things that you can keep on talking. It's something sometimes we think, if someone is big, they have to write 500 books. They should, But here, Maharaj, he was focused on spreading the books of Prabhupada. I think in his will also he wrote, I remember when his will was written, he wrote there saying, I have not written any big books and anything like that. There's nothing called, royalty and all that stuff. I'm not saying writing books is something wrong. Please don't get me wrong. Because Prabhupada wanted all his disciples to do whatever possible, write books where he has not touched some areas. But he said, you all now take up and do just like how I did. I'm not saying that, but here Maharaj's focus was, I want to spread Prabhupada's books. So you can know his yatra was always number one, in book distribution. Of course, there's always used to be a competition between Mayapur and Delhi for who's the number one book distribution community, within ISKCON. And he is he empowering everybody. I was told, I heard one pastime where Maharaj went to Mayapur, and he was also the GBC of Mayapur, so he had been there, and the devotees there actually knew that Delhi is competing with Mayapur. In fact, Delhi has been number one in book distribution. So these devotees wanted to trick. So we want to beat Delhi. So when he was there, they went and made a prayer to him saying, Maharaj, please bless us that Mayapur should become the number one book distributor. Maharaj's zone, in one way, is Delhi is more closer. I mean, where he is personally acting. So they sought his blessings to beat his own team. In one sense, Mayapur is also his team, but we all have different things. So that way, so they said, we'll take Maharaj's blessing so that we can beat Delhi. So he immediately, without thinking twice, he said, I bless you to become the number one book distributors in this year or whatever like that. But subsequently, when we went to Delhi, so there also devotees are there. Then he said, I have given them the blessing that they should become the number one book distributor. So you all have to work hard if at all you want to become number one. So how he balanced both the teams, right? He did not say Mayapur, no, I want to Delhi to come up. But at the same time, he told Delhi, I have given my blessings there. So naturally they will become. And if you want to win, you have to fight hard. This kind of, that mood of transcendental competition and how he balanced so beautifully. And not just that, there's no limit to the way. And he wrote many things in his will. He was completely detached. He said, these are the accounts are there which in my name, the bank accounts. And I remember he mentioned about some few dollars in one bank account, and that was meant for for my visa purposes and all that. And this is the other person, with the co-owner. I mean, what do you call the joint owner, joint account holder, like that. So that level of detail, in every small thing. And he always wanted the whole movement to be under proper shelter. There should not be no division within ISKCON. Very, very clear that, we are all part and parcel of that Prabhupada movement, and Prabhupada should be the topmost Acharya in our movement, and everybody should be completely obedient, surrendered to Prabhupada's words, Prabhupada's thoughts, Prabhupada's leadership as the Siksha Guru, and his relationship with his God brothers, amazing. You can see that. And he's a towering personality. You can't deny that. And in spite of that, whoever his God brothers are there, you will see that same treating them like that without seeing a difference. Oh, I am great. I have done so many things. No, he has that complete this one. And with all, it like a junior devotee to senior devotee, whatever we say. So such great personality, a great leader, a great visionary, and how he developed ISKCON all over, not to say this area, that area, because he was GBC and he had that vision for the entire globe, how to do it. And he personally executed, and the way he performed the Pujari service. You should, it's a thing to behold. In Mayapur during the main festivals, he will be doing the Pujari service so gracefully, so beautifully, so absorbed in that. And sometimes you see he's old, he was in his 80s, and you can see he's sweating like anything. He's not able to stand, but then his face is so focused. He's so glued to the deity. How gracefully he used to do these services. I was always mesmerized by that. So, but the point is how, as each one in our own level, try to imbibe these qualities for the pleasure of Suras Gopala Krishna Goswami Maharaj and all his god brothers who are really putting their heart and soul into developing this moment to please Prabhupada. How every one of us can take a leaf out of there. They are like ocean. Their services to Prabhupada was like ocean. But how we can take a small minute particle. Of course, that doesn't mean we should stop with being minute, but at least we should think we are doing minute and start with minute thing and try to contribute our might to their service to Srila Prabhupada. So I end here. If there are any questions or comments, welcome. Hare Krishna. I see Padmanabha Prabhu and our senior devotee here, Santosh Prabhu. But, if you want to add some words, very happy to always see you. Grateful. Any comments? Thank you. So we will end here. Today, the technical program is there, so we won't participate there.